Cubs made a signing that won't affect this year's team, but they're looking ahead to next season as they nab Shelby Miller. We're going to talk about Shelby Miller and the trade that got the Diamondbacks front office fired when they sent Dansby Swanson to Atlanta for Shelby. But he joins the Cubs, so we're going to have both of those guys eventually. Kyle Wright and Vince Velasquez are now officially Cubs. And it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. All right, like, subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you being part of the Cubs baseball channel. Let's get this party started. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs baseball channel. And how about the news? The Cubs signed Shelby Miller to a multi-year deal. And a lot of you guys were like, hey, wait a second. Shelby Miller, 35 years old. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball. Last year had a 1.98 ERA in 37 games for the Diamondbacks. Then he pitched 10 innings for the Brewers, who got him at the trade deadline. And then, well, he tore his UCL. And he needed Tommy John surgery. And that means he's out. He's going to be out for the entire year. So the Cubs went and signed Shelby Miller, and he'll pitch for them next season. So, like you look at it and you're like, okay, yeah, like we're going to get better. And then it's like, well, we're going to get better next year. At least you hope so. So, this guy's career really was with the Cardinals. Remember how good he was. And then obviously the Braves, and then the trade for Dansby Swanson, and the Diamondbacks traded Dansby Swanson, who was a first-round pick, and then Shelby Miller went to Arizona. He was terrible, and then obviously Dansby helped the Braves win a World Series, and Shelby Miller was a starter at that point. We didn't know what was going to happen, and then boom, eventually, Shelby Miller went to the bullpen. And he's been really good in the bullpen, and I mean, like the shame for him, it's just been bad luck. But, fastball last year, 95, 96, a lot of late life, high spin rate. He's got a splitter, which is basically his primary second offering, right? 29% of the time he throws that, 87 miles an hour. It's got like a heavy arm side fade, kind of like a natural sink to it. He's got a sweeper slider pitch he throws at 83. And he was becoming just one of the best relievers in baseball. So Cubs have him. He's going to rehab with the Cubs. He'll probably spend a lot of time in Arizona. And then you look at him and you're like, hey, you know what? Next year, he'll be right where we need him to be. He'll be part of the team in the big leagues. And, who knows what next year's going to look like. But it was one of those deals with the Cubs where you're paying him really this year to have him next year. But he would have been a pretty hot commodity on the market next year. AveD, guys, there it is. Use our QR code. Be part of Mick Nation. Got some really exciting things coming up here on the channel. I don't want to talk about tomorrow's show, but tomorrow I think we're going to have an announcement to make where we're going to add somebody pretty special to our regular programming. You guys are going to be fired up about it. Yeah. I don't want to give you any more hints. But anyway, QR code right there, Mick Nation, join AveD. That's our Web3 home. And you guys want these? We're working on that right now. Connor is going through and collecting up all your emails. Make sure that if you want one of these sweet hats, lids, as some people call them, that you get in there and give us a way to contact you. All right. Second thing on today's show. Kyle Wright and Vince Velasquez are now officially Cubs. I look at Kyle Wright, signed a minor league deal. This guy, if they get him healthy, he could be just a real piece for the Cubs, right? He was coming into his own, and then he got injured, had the shoulder injuries, but won 20 games with the Atlanta Braves. He's a guy that I'm guessing they're going to use as a starter, but maybe they move him to the bullpen. I don't know. But I love the fact that he's on the team. And then right-hander Vince Velasquez, another guy that they signed to a minor league deal. He was in a Pirates uniform. He's 33 years old. Had some really good years with the Phillies, and and Japan last year. Remember, he was in Japan. So we'll see, man. I mean, like former White Sox as well, but he had the Tommy John surgery, missed 2024, came back a little bit of AAA with the Guardians, played in the Korean Baseball League, and now the Cubs are kind of hoping that he's one of those guys they get and they put him through all the pitch lab stuff, and then he ends up being someone that contributes to the team. So, it's exciting. You get to this time of year and it really is great. So, here we are, Cubs Camp 2026. And, you look at the reports that are coming out right now. And I guess one of the things that you keep hearing is that Alex Bregman is having an impact on the roster, right? That he's a guy who already is kind of taking leadership. I think that was one of the things that the Cubs wanted to sign him for. They tried to get him last year, remember? And he ended up signing with the Red Sox. This year, they did not want to miss out on having him. We're not trading Nico, which I think is a good thing. You guys get in the comments and you're like, oh, you want to trade Nico. I never wanted to trade Nico, but I think there was a chance that they were going to do that. The other thing is we talked about Nick Castellanos as maybe a potential option for the Cubs. And I look at Nick and I'm like, he's coming ownership wise to the things that didn't work out well for him when he was with Castellanos admitted that he was benched in Philadelphia and he went into the clubhouse, grabbed an El Presidente, which is a beer, and sat next to Rob Thompson, the manager. Not a good idea. They got into it. And then he was released. Like, how about this? Like, they told him not to show up to camp. They owed him a bunch of money, and they just didn't want him on the team. So he's an option for the Cubs. I still think he's an option for the Cubs. I still think that they'd love to have him. There's going to be some other teams that are going to try to get him, but the Phillies are going to be responsible for a big chunk of that money. So it could be a great deal. And he can play still. I still think he's got something left in the tank. He's an emotional guy. We talked about that before. I remember him being a member of the Cubs and, kind of being one of those guys that lives off emotion, dies on that. And it certainly didn't work out for him with the Cubs, with the Phillies, right, the last year. So he's a free agent. We'll check in on that as well. But camp's interesting, though. We're getting closer to games. Still feels like, and I'm staying by this, the Cubs are a move or two away from being finished. And until Zach Gallen signs somewhere, don't be surprised if the Cubs don't pull off a deal to sign him. And I think that they feel like having an overabundance of pitching is better than not having enough, and I certainly agree with them. But thank you guys for being here. Love you so much. Hope you're having a fantastic Valentine's Day. Here's my heart to you for being part of this channel. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Thumbs up always. Get in the comments section. Be a part of what we're doing. But we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're getting there fast. And it's because of you guys. So thank you so much. And go